Good. Sorry.
Jackson, you want to lead us off?
Ryan, coming off of that win, 4 wins overall in the last 5. It's a quick week, but how's training been the last couple of days for you guys?
Like this, as a footballer, you're used to a schedule being like this. You've got to look after your body, make sure you're doing the right things behind the scenes. Approach every game in the correct way. The team's in a great place right now. On the back of set wins, like you said. The manager's been he's been mentioning in training about finding them 1%. Where we can improve, anywhere we can improve our game, and I think that showed in the previous games. Everybody getting into the box at the right times. I think that the team's in a really good place at the moment.
When you first got here, you talked about refining your love of football, and Craig talked about it too, and just watching the game this last weekend, and I'm wondering if you have already kind of reignited that love of the game.
Yeah, I feel as though I have. I really think that I've landed in a great environment for myself. Somewhere where I can express myself, be who I am without being judged upon certain things, and I'm just really enjoying the short time that I have had here so far. I hope it continues this way.
So really follow up on that. So you say like not judged for who I am, then I guess on the field, off the field, what are you referring to, and who are you in that regard?
I guess I'm an elusive character in a way. I like to keep myself to myself. Some people may take that a little bit differently. And like you just touched upon, then I think in football, certain things seem to be getting lost in this day and age. I think what's important is what players are doing on the pitch. I'm not saying be a bad person behind the scene. That's not what I'm getting at. But there seems to be a lot more things in football these days which are preventing players from getting on the pitch in game time and stuff. And as long as you keep your head down in training, and do your thing on the pitch and be judged that way.
Speaking of elusiveness, you said off the pitch, but that's kind of your trait on the pitch. Can you just talk about that, your ability?
Yeah, I was speaking to the coach after the game the other day. He touched upon how there can be different leaders in a team. You've got the vocal characters, and I feel as though I'm one of those people who can lead the team with the ball at my feet. I'm never afraid to get on the ball. Given any situation, if I've just lost the ball 5 times in a row, I'll still go and get the ball again and try and do what I do. I know in certain games, I only need one opportunity to get past my opponent to make something happen, and that happened in the game at the weekend. If I can just keep creating chances on the pitch and doing what I do, then helping the team.
Coach talked about your efficiency of touches. Can you talk about that, and through your years, how you refine that that skill?
Yeah, that's something I've had to learn as well. Not overcomplicating things. When I was younger, I had a tendency to always go and try and do the most difficult thing. Michael Beale helped me understand that side of things. Playing in certain areas of the pitch as well. But as soon as I've got the ball and I can get 1v1 with somebody in a dangerous situation, and that's why I need to be a killer in that scenario.
You've talked about getting your feedback under you. In part of that process, how important is that getting the start, playing 60 minutes, and kind of that process into getting into full fitness?
Yeah, I think that's that's definitely a big thing. A lot of players know that in off season, no matter how much running you do to try and get yourself up to match speed, you're never going to do that unless you get minutes on the pitch. And getting that 60 minutes in, I think was really important. I felt good after the game. I feel good this week, which is important as well. How I felt physically after the game, so we can keep keep stacking them minutes as well. That's all good.
You got 3 assists already. It's not just you getting inside the 18, but that chemistry with the team. How Bildy has that kind of come up, and you seem to find players where they are all the time.
Yeah, before I came here, I was I'd managed to watch quite a few games to see how the sort of team was playing and what sort of philosophy the coach wanted to implement on the team. I think since I've got here, a few things have been tweaked, but getting that understanding with the players around me, especially on my side of the pitch, is important. And I think as more games come, that will definitely continue to show that.
For tomorrow and Saturday, LAFC, Portland, big rivals of the club. Have you sort of felt that? Has that been kind of messaged over the last couple of days, even with and around you?
Yeah, definitely. That it's big games coming up, but once again, the coach has touched on upon what a big week this was. Three away games in quick succession. It's just important that we get the 9 points and. We do it as a collective team, and hopefully we'll come away successful by the end of the weekend.
You played in some big rivalry games. Can you just talk about that thought process, and then once you're in the game?
Yeah, I've been part of clubs who are probably in 2 biggest rivalries in the world. As a footballer, I thrive on that kind of stuff. Some people can sort of shy away from it, but I love being involved in games like that. You feel the energy around the stadium, you feel the build up to the game and stuff, and there's a sudden shift when you're on the pitch as well. That there's an extra 5% in people's tackles, people are running just that little bit harder, so you definitely feel it.
You want to make a mark in the Portland game? I don't know whether you're...
I want to make a mark on the MLS. I definitely want people to know who I am. I've come here to be one of the best players in the league, and these are the games, where you are recognised for that, but, it's not just one individual game. I want to be doing it week in, week out.
Thank you, man.
All right, thanks, guys. Cheers.